Take the first step towards online privacy. Get NordVPN.
Businesses need a platform that allows people to access and manage their office workstation from anywhere and anytime. WebConnect does just that. Our browser-based desktop platform enables you to seamlessly migrate your office into a private cloud, giving you total control of your desktop, files, and important data. It's encrypted end-to-end connection, making it totally secure and ensuring peace of mind for users and administrators alike. Put WebConnect to the test and transform the way you work remotely.
So the war against children and against families continues apace. And that's what I'm going to be talking about in this video. Hi everybody, this is Crypto Rich working with you to be free. To be free, have faith, enjoy family. I'm joined by Jana Lunden. She is a campaigner from Ireland around children's issues and women's issues and people's issues, because we're all somebody's children. We all started off that way. Now, before I introduce her, please subscribe, follow me on Twitter, CryptoRichYT, join my official Telegram announcements channel. And if you're watching this on YouTube, well, you actually may not be. I haven't decided whether I'm going to post all of this or any of this on YouTube. So you can find it on bit.ly/CryptoRich3Speak and bit.ly/CryptoRichOdyssey. And this is I think our second interview, Jana. Thank you so much for making yourself am I saying your name correctly?
Yes, that is correct. Yes.
Oh, good, good, Jana. Thank you so much. Because we did a video a few weeks ago about the World Health Organization sexuality agenda, education agenda for schools. And we're going to be talking about another major organization, how they're out to sexualize children. And I also did a video about pedo suites. Children, I told you about that suite in children's.
I saw that in Tesco, the Tesco suites. It's just unbelievable. I was in Tesco as well and found some indoctrination and spoke with a manager there recently.
And?
They had a whole, in the child's sort of card section, they had a whole suite of pride cards with, the Mickey Mouse and the pride flag and all the inclusivity stuff. And because it's rainbows, of course, the kids are very attracted to it. So I collected all of the cards and I spoke with the head manager of the Ashbourne, County Meath, Ireland shop and said, do you realize what this movement represents? And of course, he said, kindness and inclusivity. I said, well, the pride movement now includes the transgender agenda, which supports the giving of puberty blockers, cross-sex hormones, and surgeries for minors and leading them down the path. And I said, so these cards are actually supporting that. And I gave him the whole bundle of cards and he was a bit rattled. He said, oh, but these are made by Carlton Cards and Carlton Cards are one of the best card makers in Ireland. And I said, I don't doubt they're a great card maker, but these shouldn't be in front of children pushing this agenda. It's indoctrinating. It's not kind or inclusive. It's teaching children they're born in the wrong body. So everywhere I see this, I speak up, I take action. It's my duty as a mother to do so.
Yep, absolutely. I haven't checked for those, but I have seen, I don't often go to supermarkets, but when I do check for the pedo sweets, candy kittens, sex education with condom-shaped sweets being sold in the children's section, in the children's sweet section.
There was a pride parade in Ireland, and I think it was County, I believe it was somewhere in Tipperary down the country, and some parents from our network went and said they were handing out penis lollipops for kids to suck on at a pride parade, because pride parades are all about bringing the children to the family friendly event. So that was they were given those lollipops, which certainly were not child friendly.
No, but Jana, I'm going to push back, right? Isn't this just homophobia that you're promoting and pushing? Aren't you just a homophobe, and that gays and lesbians should be shut away in a cupboard somewhere and not come out and stuff? Don't they have a right to be themselves and be free? And
absolutely, and a lot of people who don't understand the trans movement do think that it's homophobic, but it's actually, when you sit down and talk through the detail, the movement is actually homophobic because it's convincing children, whether they're a masculine tomboy female like I was as a child, or whether they're a feminine boy, that they may be in the wrong body when they may be just a tomboy or feminine, or they may be gay, but they're certainly not in the wrong body. So it's actually homophobic to actually push this on people. So a lot of our gay allies are actually really, really against the movement. And there was a lesbian that recently that spoke up in Ireland, and she said when she was a youth, she went to the Belong To meetings, feeling that, maybe 13 or 14, she was, felt different, maybe was attracted to the same sex. And after a few of those meetings was bullied into thinking she actually should have been maybe a boy, not a girl, because she's attracted to a woman. And so a lot of the lesbians that go to different meetings, or the gay men, they're being made to believe that they are not normal, they're in the wrong body, simply because they're attracted to the same sex, which there's nothing wrong with that. That's the choice, that's what they want. But not to make them think they're in the wrong body. And if you disagree, they'll start labeling you as transphobic, homophobic, bigot, which is very narcissistic to gaslight someone in that way. So it's the most unkind, uninclusive movement I've ever seen in my life.
Right. Okay. Yeah, no, I get it. Okay. So if a teenage boy likes boys, that's completely valid. He's going through that period of, that we all went through. Me, it was when a little bit older, right? Where we think, wait a minute, am I straight? Am I gay or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if the teenage boy thinks that he may be gay, then what you're saying, instead of validating that as a possible option, it must be because your body's wrong.
Correct, exactly. And in Ireland, about a year ago, the mainstream media released an article that said up to 90% of people in Ireland seeking gender-affirming care were potentially in the autistic spectrum. Now, I think a recent article said about 50%, but whether it's 50% or 90%, it's still a very high proportion that someone may be everyone's born in the wrong body, but they may be led to believe maybe they feel different, that they're born in the wrong body, and leading them down that path. But maybe they're just going through a phase, maybe they're angry, rebellious, going through puberty, or maybe autistic. But no child should ever be made to think that they're born in the wrong body.
Yeah, or sexually abused, because I've come across that idea, because they feel betrayed by their own bodies and they want to get away from it. But it doesn't validate them as they are. There's something wrong with you, and you got to get fixed. And you got to get checked, and you got to have chemical or physical surgery versus no. There's nothing wrong with you the way that you are, that you're not. There's nothing wrong with you. Chill. You're you're a boy that likes boys. You're a girl that likes girls. Great, just chill.
And let people live. This is constantly on every single street corner. This is pushed in people's faces. The rainbow flags are being hung at Catholic schools in Ireland. The Garda Síochána, which is our police force, the cars are painted in rainbow. Today I was out shopping and I saw a huge bus drive by that was painted top to bottom in rainbow colors, and it said proudly serving something. So everything it's being pushed in every aspect of society, and there's lots of kids that are getting really fed up with it. So instead of creating this kind, inclusive world, which kids are born kind and inclusive, it's making them really angry with it. There's kids coming home from secondary school saying, I'm fed up with this. I'm done with this. It's being pushed in my face like a cult 24/7. And it's done under the guise of anti-bullying. So the Department of Education is putting this in schools, saying it's because all of the children who are gay or trans are being bullied. We have to put this in school. We have to teach boys and girls. They can be a boy, girl, neither or both, because if we don't teach them that, they're going to bully kids. But I'd like to know, well, how many bullying cases are actually open in Ireland from kids bullying a gay person? Because Irish people aren't homophobic. Irish people are kind, but they're making all the Irish people think you're bullies, you're phobic, you're bigots. Therefore, we have to teach your children this.
It is like a status of a sort of state religion. I'm thinking of what it must be like in North Korea. Pictures of Kim Jong-un all over the place, the great leader, the great leader, the great leader. We're going to worship the great leader and stuff. And of course, there's no dissent allowed. But also what it's like in Muslim countries, where there's all this imagery about Islam and the sayings of the Holy Prophet and stuff. And I'm not out to denigrate it. I'm just saying that what's happened, that with this trans agenda has been elevated to that status. And then, of course, people are going to push back because it doesn't speak to people's real experience. In North Korea, they won't push back because they'll get punished. In a Muslim world, they won't push back because they're all Muslims. Yeah, that makes sense to us, right? And it speaks to our experience. But in a formally, say this tragically, sadly, Catholic, homogenous country, this is the new religion that's emerging. That and climate change. This CO2 is the devil.
Yeah, and the bishops, the groups I work with, do a lot of campaigning. We have done for the last year and a half against what's being pushed in through the school curriculum. And every bishop in Ireland got a letter. So letters were written asking them to stand up against this, and it detailed all of the concerns coming into the school: the highly sexualized program, teaching gender ideology as fact, how it does not go with the Catholic ethos. And the bishops have not replied. So now we're calling meetings. There's different groups around the country calling meetings with the bishops to say, we want to meet with you, and hand them another letter. Now, if they ignore the second letter and they ignore the meeting, then it's going to be time to really call out the bishops in Ireland, because they're meant to be looking after the schools. It's in their patronage, and they're Catholic ethos schools. But I think they're very scared to speak up, probably given the guilt and the shame of all the abuse that happened in the Catholic Church here in Ireland, that maybe they feel really kind of scared to speak up because they got a lot of bad rep from the past abuse. But now's the time they have to stand up, because the children are getting abused in the schools through this indoctrination. It's state-sponsored child abuse, and it does violate the Children First Act of 2015. So if anybody doesn't agree that it's child abuse, all they have to do is look at the Children First Act 2015 under the sexual abuse, and it's showing children material they're not mentally ready to see. And I know my age 5 boy is not going to be ready to be taught that he can become a girl.
Yeah. Wow. That's very good.
Child abuse. It's child abuse.
The Ireland's child abuse legislation will be modelled or evolved from the 1989 Children's Act in the UK, which is a really great piece of legislation. And then what you're saying about the bishops, it could also be that they've bought into the WEF. They're into that. The WEF has planted them there somehow, right? Because I think similar stuff is happening in Britain with the Church of England. That the guardians of the Christian faith in Ireland and in Britain aren't speaking up in favor of Christian values. And then what we have in Ireland and in Britain is we have a government that pays no regard to these nations' Christian ethos. It's supposed to run through the fabric of how society is organized. And the monarch, the head of the Protestant church, well, he ain't doing it either, because he's a WEF puppet as well. I do like the deal in Muslim countries. In Saudi Arabia, they said, no, we're not having that LGBTQ. And Qatar said that during the World Cup. No, we're not having that.
Yeah, one of my best friends moved over to Dubai, and she said, there's nothing woke here. It's like it doesn't exist. The kids just go to school and they learn and they play sports and people meet, and it's not pushed in people's faces at all.
Haven't they all killed themselves because they're so miserable in the wrong bodies? There are no children left in the Muslim world because they've all killed themselves because they're born in the wrong bodies, right? Oh my gosh. Okay. All right. Now, we did a video a few weeks ago about the World Health Organization sexuality agenda. And that was quite an eye-opener. And I'm going to link to it in the description below. In fact, if people want to find it, I created a bit.ly link, bit.ly/whose report. WHOSEREPORT. Whose report, bit.ly/whose report, and it'll take you to the PDF, and you can have a look for yourself. You can have a look through the table where it says, like, a 0 to 4-year-olds need to have information about early childhood masturbation. Now, I've raised this with some of my colleagues as a social worker, and one of the things that somebody said to me. Now, these are people who work in child protection, experience in child protection, and I think there's something about, like, this doesn't compute. This doesn't compute. What do you mean the World Health Organization will slip it into schools? Maybe, and they try and explain it away or justify it or minimize it. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but it just doesn't compute. So what do you say to that, Jana?
It's
off the wall.
It's so off the wall. I've mentioned it to people. I've said, the WHO, because obviously everybody now should know that the WHO treaty they're trying to push through in May of 2024, whereby our country will hand over our sovereignty and our health freedom and all of our health choices to the WHO. So what I'm trying to help people make that connection to is the WHO isn't just, it used to be, decades and decades ago, perhaps helping underdeveloped countries with, world health. However, now it's a completely different organization. And if people can make the connection to say the WHO are the ones pushing this pedophilia onto children, and I will say unapologetically that it's pedophilia, because if you look at the matrix in that document, it talks about having the first sexual experience at age 9. Now, my daughter's 8.5. She believes in Santa Claus. She's young. She's innocent. She's not going to be having sex when she's 9. So I want everyone to make that connection that the same people running this, pushing this in schools, are the ones who want to make health choices for you and for your children. And we should never let these people take over the country's health sovereignty, our freedoms. They're putting climate now into the World Health Organization treaty, because climate is now a public health crisis. So we could have climate lockdowns. We could have a mass immigration because all the people fleeing their climate crisis countries. So there's climate in there, there's sexualization of children, there's all this evil, toxic stuff being pushed on us. And if we hand over that sovereignty, England, Ireland, America, Canada, everywhere, if we sign it over to the WHO, they could say, well, we know what's best for your children. And you as a parent aren't going to have the choice about whether your child wants to maybe get a sex change or take puberty blockers or hormones. You don't have a choice because we say that it's best for the child.
Yep. Okay. And I'm just going to give a plug here to the work that Chris Coverdale has done and the videos that I've done with Chris Coverdale. We talk about how we can legally not pay tax as a protest against the government's drive for the Great Reset, the government funding war in Ukraine and Israel, and the killing of people that we're funding, and the way that they're rolling out all these policies that are designed to rob us of our liberties and our freedoms. And that process is also applicable to Ireland, because Ireland is a signatory to the International Convention Against Genocide. So that, and if you people want to know, the one video to watch is bit.ly/taxrevolt2. bit.ly/taxrevolt2. Tax Revolt 1 is a longer video, and I'm hoping to get Chris Coverdale, do a video with Chris Coverdale and somebody, a campaigning solicitor from Ireland, and it'll be tailor-made for the situation in Ireland.
Excellent. And something else to include in that as well is boycotting, and then we probably won't talk about it much tonight and deep dive into it, but that's a great topic for another day. I was chatting with one of my dear friends, and he said if we all just boycotted all of these big global companies, it would be over tomorrow. If everyone went offline and didn't buy from Google and Amazon and Starbucks and all these big companies, woke is broke, they would just collapse and this would end tomorrow. So it's also trying to teach people that the best way to stop this is to hit them in the pocket.
Right. Now, the challenge with that is they're so integrated into our lives. You know, I use Gmail for my YouTube account, but I have Fastmail for my private email and stuff, but it's challenging. But yes. And then also, of course, depriving governments of our tax revenue, because they're going to print the money anyway. So we might as well keep it. Okay.
Yeah, correct.
All right, Jana. Now we're going to talk about UNESCO, and they are a partner organization to the World Health Organization. They're one of the subdivisions, I understand it, of the United Nations. And the United Nations, it's education and social cultural organization, you know, to promote cultural health and for education and stuff. So they're obviously a good thing, and they're obviously not bought into this sexualization of children agenda.
Of course not.
So what do you want to tell us about UNESCO?
Yeah, the UNESCO, UNICEF, I think, is the document. Yeah, do you want to pull
UNICEF,
that?
Sorry,
UNICEF, yeah.
Which is United Nations Children something.
Yeah, I can't remember the acronym now, but
shall I share the screen? Should we go to
that? There was a document. We have an amazing group of supporters across the Natural Women's Council, Lawyers for Justice Ireland, Irish Education Alliance, and Parents' Rights Alliance. So we have a lot of supporters and followers, and we rely on people to send us things that we may not see. And recently someone posted this document into one of our groups, which I had never seen. And I looked through it and I was just shocked. It's called The Opportunity for Digital Sexuality Education. Now, strangely enough, it's in East Asia and the Pacific. I haven't come across this for Europe or the US or any other areas. So why they've targeted East Asia and the Pacific, I'm not quite sure, but you could scroll through this and that document there, it's all colorful, lots of children reading and
very
love hearts and very child friendly. So UNICEF for
LinkedIn, that's good, and Twitter. Yeah,
and there's a little mask. Did you see the little person wearing a mask? Because everybody should, of course, wear those. You know, had to get that in there.
Yeah, especially children. And, wear your mask around children so they don't learn how to pick up visual cues.
Yeah. So this document is basically to push. It's UNICEF EAPRO gender section. What Karen Humphreys, lead author. Okay, so that's just the intro there. And it's all driven by the United Nations. So UNICEF is United Nations, which is linked in with WHO, WEF. So when we hear anything, WHO, WEF, United Nations, UNICEF, they're all one and the same, really. So, so you can scroll down there. So
where do you want to go to?
Yeah, there's really the intro that this is getting the information to children through digital. So it has different terms. This is
hold on. I'm sorry. Excuse me for interrupting. The sex, the classification of people as male, female, or intersex, assigned at birth, typically based on anatomy and biology. Well,
typically, but not always, right?
Intersex. And what's typically? Typically, the baby's born with a willy, it's a boy. The baby's born don't want to be rude, right?
Yeah.
With a vagina,
And
it's a girl.
do you see the word that jumps out most at me is assigned, because we are not assigned our sex at birth. It's not like, oh, we'll assign this as a boy or girl, or
We'll stick a Willie on this one. We'll take it off this.
yeah. Sex is determined in the womb. So when my little boy and my little girl were in the womb as a little egg, they were either XX or XY. So this whole assigned at birth is also being used in the school books. You are not assigned your sex at birth. It's assigned in the womb of the mother when the child is still an embryo. So there's a politician in Ireland. This nonsensical Paul Murphy is his name, and he had a little, either a boy or girl, I can't remember, because he's not assigning the sex at birth. He's just calling them it or they, because it's not really inclusive to determine what your child is when they're born. They should be able to decide when they grow into what they want to be. So he has, instead of a baby, he has a baby. Yeah. He's one of the people before profit troons. I mean, they're just absolutely bonkers. They're the ones kind of pushing this Marxism, communism, transgender agenda. It's just, I mean, sorry, but I had a baby boy, and I unapologetically,
how do you know
he's a boy?
Did you assign that? You assigned him that?
He had a penis.
That's the giveaway.
It was pretty easy when he came out. I'm like, yeah, this is a boy. It didn't take a lot of thinking about that one. So these are some terms in this book here, or this guide here, and the method, the whole kind of what this guide is doing is, there's a piece in there. It's teaching how we can get the digital sexuality education onto children, and it talks about vloggers. So those are video bloggers.
What does a vlogger got to do? Why not librarian? Is there a librarian in here? Is there a doctor or a biologist? Somebody trained, or a geneticist, somebody trained in genetic expression? No, a vlogger.
A vlogger, yeah. So it talks about vloggers, and
okay.
I don't know what page the part about the barriers is on, but we can keep scrolling. All the happy kids learning the sexuality from a digital perspective. So it does say here, executive summary: significant opportunities exist to improve the sexual and reproductive health of young people in East Asia and the Pacific. Talks about some of the objective, but however, barriers remain to the effective implementation of in-person sexuality education, including at socio-cultural, organizational, and individual levels. Later in this brochure, we'll look at some of the barriers, but what it's doing is it's pushing sexuality education into the digital world for children because of barriers. And when we look at barriers, that's quite a shocking article or chapter in this book.
Let's look at barriers.
There's a barrier. I forgot what page it's on. It's, I think, 54 pages.
Barriers of embarrassment, cost, and lack of knowledge. Okay. Barriers remain to the effective implementation. Okay. Many potential barriers may affect the effective implementation of comprehensive sexuality education. Okay.
There it is. Okay. So we have barriers to this education as student barriers, teacher barriers, school barriers, or context barriers. And that looks like a context. I believe it says also there's one piece on there about, I think, parents is in a paragraph coming up as well. Barriers to.
But isn't this religious norms? Because now, for people who are watching this who are atheists or agnostic, right, what religion provides is a moral code by which society can organize themselves by. And that's the same whether it's Hinduism or Buddhism, or I suppose even like liberal humanism.
Mm-hmm.
So, but a religious norm, the kind of moral code that a society has evolved out of, is a barrier to teaching children about sex the way the Unicef wants them taught about it. Okay.
Yeah, and religion, they're trying to strip back in Ireland, attack the religion, whether it's, Catholicism or Protestant or, Muslim or whatever it is. If you break down that religion, it's one more way to break down the roots of people. And if you fracture the roots and you fracture that piece of society, that's where people can become really lost. So whether you're religious or not, that is for many people a way that they have, the roots, the morality, the community, the face-to-face, learning that way. So.
Yep, here I found it, parents, right? Many potential barriers may prevent the effective implementation of comprehensive sexuality education, including, this can be like real opposition from parents. Yes. So if you're a parent, you don't want your children sexualized at too young an age, then you could be a real barrier.
Exactly. And you better believe I'm a barrier if someone's trying to indoctrinate or sexualize my children. I will be the biggest barrier that they have ever seen.
Yes.
But this is teaching, how else, it's basically how else can we get around? How else can we get into your children if parents, communities, and religious leaders are and teachers are a barrier? How else can we get to your children? Digital.
Right. Digital is the answer. Okay. Okay.
Digital.
So they think parents and religious and communities are a barrier. So
So scrap the religion, scrap the community, scrap the parents, get rid of all those awful things like community, religion, and parents. Leave it up to the United Nations and UNICEF and the WHO, and we'll get to your kids through digital sexuality.
Big Brother will take care of us through the screens.
That's right.
Okay, so how they're going to get past the barriers is more and more children are relying on digital tools. Okay. There
we go. Look at those young children on a tablet. Those kids look about my children's age, or they're 8 and 5, and they don't have any tablets or screens, and they certainly won't for quite some time. If they do, they'll have parental controls on their tablets where I can see everything they access.
Okay, so let's have a look, because should we go to the YouTube bit, or is there something else you want to say before?
Maybe scroll down. What page are we on now? We're
page 15. No.
So just scroll down through barriers, and then there was some statistics there about children with a smartphone. Just scroll up and see what they're saying there. So in the Philippines or in Indonesia, children found that 67% owned a mobile phone. I don't know how young. The most common age of first mobile ownership was 12. So this is going to be targeting those 12-year-old children who have a smartphone with this type of education. It does say in Philippines, a survey of children aged 9 to 17 found most do not spend personal money on internet, but rather use Wi-Fi. Okay, so children as young as 9 could be using phones.
Yeah, and we're here 10 years old. The most common age of first mobile phone ownership in Philippines was 10 years old. So we got 10-year-olds in the Philippines and 12-year-olds in Indonesia. And they're not going to be phones.
My child will not be getting a mobile phone at age 10 unless it's one of those old Carpenter Nokia phones where she can simply call mommy when she needs to, but they certainly won't be accessing all these apps and YouTube and such.
Yep. And then here's
at age 10.
Internet usage in different countries. Okay. What do young people look for in digital spaces? They're regularly using the digital world as a key source of information and sex. Okay.
Down to age 10 and 12, okay.
Yeah, and then here, the internet offers a portable, convenient, personalized, private, and anonymous source of information, along with potential for entertainment value.
It's not just learning, it's entertainment. So for a child, if you think about two words that shouldn't go together, it's entertainment and sex. And this just mentioned down to age, 9 and 10 for a phone? Entertainment? I don't think so.
Yeah, okay. Let's carry on. A significant proportion of young people are exposed to pornography online, and the World Health Organization and UNICEF.
That's a really interesting point. I'd like to talk about that. So if you look at some countries, right, they don't even allow pornography to even come through their devices, right? So I think I read an article recently, I can't remember the source, but over 75% of things downloaded on the internet is porn. If people were so concerned about children accessing porn, why couldn't they just stop it? They actually could, from a technology perspective, stop it, but instead they're allowing children to use these little devices to access it.
Yep. Oh, okay, here we go. Adolescents who view pornography frequently are reported to experience a range of negative health and well-being outcomes. However, it's not possible to attribute causality. It's difficult to know whether pornography could be an effective entry point for sexuality education sites, but it is a possibility that should be considered.
They're letting children watch porn. Okay, so they're saying that. Oh, look at all the children there sitting in there
playing games.
The desks right after the article about children being educated from porn. Very funny that it's Asia and Pacific, isn't it? I wonder why they targeted those children with this initiative first.
They do have there's a very large gaming culture among young people, but that's pretty much the world over. Okay.
What do young people look for online?
Can I get pregnant while in the pool? Sexual reproductive health facts, pregnancy, contraception. But this won't be 9 and 10-year-olds. This will be like post-pubescent children.
Unless it's the WHO document in the Matrix, age 9, first sexual experience. So it very well could be targeted at age 9.
Yeah.
So this talks about
popular mobile applications vary in their functionality. Juicebox connects users to certified sex and relationship experts, while It Matters and My Sex Doctor offer young people quick access to sexual and reproductive health information. Websites Amaze, Scarletine, and Sex etc. generally offer a variety of resources.
And this, just to confirm for the listeners, this here that we're looking at, these links, it's not saying these are ones that you should be concerned with if your children access. These are ones to avoid. Right above this, it was saying that it can't be ruled out that pornography could be a part of education. So this is suggesting perhaps sites that children can learn about from the vloggers.
Okay, here's one. The most highly subscribed YouTube sex education vloggers. This is why vloggers, you must understand, and not librarians, tend to be female with subscriptions also being higher among young women. Worldwide, popular vloggers, including, and they give links, and let's have a look at them, right? But the videos generally take a positive and inclusive approach to sex, often tackling taboo topics such as masturbation. Some teachers have begun to utilize selected YouTube sexuality education clips as a starting point for discussions in the classroom. I'd like to know who those teachers are, whether they have the parents' consent for that, or they're doing it on the sly. What are the safeguards in place? What's the history of those parents, in terms of their own?
Look at the one on the right there. There are also adult websites and applications focused on health-based sexual relationships. So, oh my God, yes, Better in Bed and Sex Positive. So this is in a book about digital sexuality aimed at children. I haven't opened those links. I didn't want to have anything in my history on my laptop that could be seen.
Well, I do have my VPN.
Oh, look at that one. There's Pornhub. I think that speaks for itself.
Pornhub has launched a Pornhub Sexual Wellness Center. Oh my God!
And there's a look at that little young innocent girl right after the talking about the sites like Pornhub. I hope to God those children aren't watching anything referenced in this document.
Interesting juxtaposition.
Mm.
Okay, so let's have a look at some of the recommended YouTube channels. So this one is Lacey Green, 1.34 million subscribers, 186 videos. And let's look at Thinking Smarter in Stupid Times. It's not you, it's Tinder. Let's talk sexonomics. Okay, so this is a good place. This could be a good place for children to get information. Intersex, 10 secret vagina, masturbation. Okay. Oh my God, this one, Hannah Witten.
Oh, why is there a backlash against sex ed in schools?
Yeah,
I wonder why that is.
And inflammatory bowel diseases impact on sex. And let's have a look, because you saw something in the thumbnail. Anal sex is a no-go. That's right, kids. If you have IBS, anal sex is a no-go. Okay.
Oh, that one over there had the nice progressive flag. They're hanging that at the Catholic schools here in Ireland. That little flag on the little triangle one.
Right.
The one that supports the genital mutilation and cross-sex hormones for kids. That's kind and inclusive.
Yep. Okay. Let's have a look here. This one is Sexplanations.
Dr. Doe. 1 million subscribers. And these are ones, it looks like there's no age. You don't have to be a certain age to get in. This is something you just clicked on with this document, and anybody at any age could access this on YouTube.
Should I have sex with my ex? Trying out the hydro pump. Oh my God. Let's talk penis.
That's not a toy I want to get for my child.
No, let's drag show etiquette. But that would just, because boys are so like, oh my God, am I big enough downstairs? Am I big enough? Oh, let me try this. So it would kind of penis break. Oh my God. Okay, here we go. Watch this before dating older men. Here we go.
Look at the top one on the left. Look at the title of that one.
This one?
No, up, top. Yeah.
Jobs and okay, this one.
How-to video. The how-to video. I'm in a public place, so I won't read the title. Yep. But not for children, and this shouldn't be on any document that's aimed at digital sexuality for children, trying to get around parents, teachers, and religious leaders as a barrier. Instead, we'll get them through digital sexuality, teaching them things like this.
But hold on, Jana, because it did say in that paragraph how teachers could have started using some of these as part of their sex education. So if a teacher's too embarrassed to explain all this or doesn't know how to do it, well, they could just play this video in class.
Yeah. Yep.
Horrific.
It's recommended by the United Nations, UNICEF, which is tied right in with WHO, funded by Gavi, Bill Gates, and the likes. So
watch this before dating older men. Okay.
Oh, goodness.
Oh, my God. Okay. All right. And then this
booty.
This one is in Polish. I think that's Polish. But there you go.
That looks like some sort of toy that wouldn't be child friendly.
I think it's a candle. I think it's just a.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, I'm kidding.
Are you sure?
No, it's not a candle. Yeah, it's not a candle.
You had me tricked there. I nearly grew up in an Amish community, so to me, I could have thought it was a candle. Is it really a candle?
Okay, so let's go back, right? So those are the links that teachers could use.
Mobile apps. Yep, there we go. Oh, there's more. There's apps. Okay, of the mobile apps. There we go. Most have been developed in Thailand. Okay.
Now, I'm sure some of these are going to be useful and innocent. So what's the problem with them?
I used to, that app there, Flow. I know the Flow one because it tells you when you're ovulating so you can get pregnant. So that's just a tracker for your cycle. That's not too sinister.
Okay.
That's for people who want to get pregnant, or in this case, maybe avoid it.
Judy's. This Thai-developed game app encourages the use of condoms to save humans from the alien invaders. I suppose the issue is the age appropriateness. That's the deal. So if this is for teens, all right, fair enough. But is a teenager really going to want to play this game? But it looks
children.
Yeah, it looks like it's designed to appeal to children because it's just from the drawing and stuff, right? Okay, Open Dream games which educate young people about safe sex, 12 plus.
Oh, okay, wow. And the age of consent in Ireland is 17. You said in England it's 16, but in this case, 12 years old. So these children, 12 years old, are learning about having sex.
Yeah, well, yes. Parental guidance recommended. Funny game about sex that seeks to improve knowledge and dispel myths. Okay, here we got game about contraception and safe sex. 17 plus. This one targets girls and young women with information about their health, bodies, fitness, contraceptives, relationships, and dating.
What? 3 plus?
What is a 3-year-old contraceptives and dating?
Wow, they're starting young.
Okay, that's in Burma, Myanmar. 15 to 24 years old. Okay, Yunala, fair enough. What's this? There's something in Vietnam. There are several. In addition, information can be found on online libraries and forums such as Adult World, a forum focused on reproductive health, gender and sexuality education for young and old, called Adult World for young. Okay.
And look at that. Look at the pictures as well. That little child, it looks only about, I mean, if you scroll up, that they're only young. I mean, they look about 7 or 8, and there they are on the mobile phone right next to these apps it's teaching them to use.
Yep. Okay. Oh my God. So this is complementing what World Health Organization are doing. What
they have a strategic partnership. I sent you an article there earlier this evening. An article that the WHO and UNICEF recommit to accelerating health and well-being at all ages. There's a new partnership they have, and that was in 2020. So the WHO, WEF, United Nations, UNICEF, they're all really one and the same, working together with the same agenda. And the documents that we just saw tonight and the one that we did a couple of weeks ago on the WHO document, it's a pedophile playbook. Without a doubt, the Matrix, age 9, gives me it chills me to read that for age 9, because my little daughter's 8.5, and I just think that's 6 months away for her. That's just chilling to think that that's in a World Health Organization document. And I wonder why more parents aren't standing up to this.
The first 10 years, is it? Children have sexual feelings in early infancy. No, they don't. They don't. They don't have sex hormones coursing through their body.
I think it was Dr. Money. I believe it was Dr. Money believes that children are born sexual. They start to develop as a newborn. They're sexual.
Well, that would justify pedophilia.
Yeah, they don't want to deprive children of that pleasure.
Between the second and third year, they discover the physical difference between men and women. During this time, they start to discover their own bodies. Early childhood masturbation and self-stimulation. That's not masturbation, it's exploration.
And did you see that, Rich? Men and women. So just children have sexual feelings in infancy. Between the second and third year, they discover differences between men and women. So if my child is 2 or 3, how would they be knowing the differences between men and women of an adult? That's an adult. How would a child know the differences of an adult?
They know that mummy's a woman and
yes.
daddy's a man.
The physical differences, but I wonder, does this imply, I'm just maybe assuming it implies the sexual, but maybe not, maybe it is just physical.
Yeah, uncle is a man and auntie is a woman.
Yeah, yeah.
So, okay. I mean, that can be fairly innocent, but then a lot of this stuff that the WEF and their similar organizations are putting out, it's so reasonable and sensible, of course, as they groom us slowly to destroy our lives, our faith and our culture and families. Okay. Oops, I don't know what's happened there. So now, this, you mentioned this as well, because this was
that
World Health
came out
came out
yesterday. Actually, a friend of mine sent me this yesterday because we're working on a strategy to really get the awareness out about the WHO treaty. And what we need everybody to do is understand that the WHO are a very dangerous organization. Everything from the standards of sexuality document we reviewed, the Unicef document, this article here. I mean, this is just shocking, absolutely shocking. Imagine these more than 100 women were raped or abused or harassed. And the WHO just said, well, here's 250 each. Off you go.
One of the victims was believed to be 13 years old. Their attackers used no birth control, several pregnancies. Some of the women were forced by their rapists to get abortions.
And the WHO just said, Asher, just give them 250 each and say nothing, and thought that was okay. And Tedros, who should be done for genocide, he was being charged, I believe, in Ethiopia with genocide, but I don't think that came to fruition because he's still in his role. He traveled to the Congo 14 times during this outbreak. And he publicly commended one of the alleged rapists for his heroic work. And there's an Irishman, the big head on Ryan there. And he was one of the leaders of during the COVID era, the lockdowns, the masks, the jabs, all of those untested, untried, not risk assessed things he did to the children across the world, being executive director of the WHO Emergencies Program. There he is, right next to Tedros. Right. So they support genocide, they support pedophilia, and they want every single country to sign over our health, freedom, and sovereignty to that WHO terrorist organization. And if anybody doesn't agree that it's a terrorist organization supporting pedophilia, I'll happily have an open debate with anybody who doesn't agree with that, because I have lots of facts and documents to show that it is true.
Yeah, well, I know there's millions of children that are trafficked every year. Millions of children. It's tragic.
It happened in Ireland. There was children in care were being groomed by what they're calling them the TUSLA grooming gangs, the Child Protection Agency, TUSLA over here. These children in care went missing, and they found out that they were being abused by grooming gangs, and that certainly just sort of fell by the wayside. And then Minister for Children, Roderick O'Gorman, deleted 3 files of children in care, just deleted them. We don't know why. We've heard nothing about it, and he still has his job as Minister for Children. He was seen in a photo with one of the people from your country, Peter Tatchell. You probably know that name, Peter Tatchell. He was definitely believes in lowering the age of consent. So he was over here during a Pride event with Minister Roderick O'Gorman. So they're just people who are also driving this agenda onto children.
Yeah. Okay. Which in a way, because it's possible, viable, plausible that to use pedophilia to control people, because then they're owned and they'll do your bidding. But then you got all these pedophiles all together. Well, of course, they're going to reorder society for themselves. So it works for them.
I think it's about fracturing society, because if we get to a point where people accept this as normal, people accept this as it's okay, it's kind, it's inclusive, and if we can accept the trafficking of children, we can accept pedophilia, we can accept children getting sex changes and be given drugs and surgeries. Once that's considered okay, the West has collapsed. it's all over. If society is that fractured, it's done. What hope do we have? If people do not stand up against this, they're not going to stand up against anything.
Yeah, if we're not going to stand up for our own children to protect them, then,
No.
well, that's like, what about the biological imperative that there is to look after our own children, right? And the thing about the sexuality agenda, the sexualization agenda, by doing this, we raise children who become adults who are dopamine addicts because they get the dopamine kicks really, really early. Then, before their puberties, before they're in puberty, so they don't have the emotional wherewithal to process all of that. And then they're just dopamine junkies. And then the thing about dopamine junkies is they're very easily manipulated and easily controlled. They don't function well in society. They don't cohere. They don't organize in groups. They're just too dysfunctional and chaotic to put up any sort of resistance. And they're easily controlled. Just give them some more video games or sex or whatever.
Yeah. And if we get children in this, like that document we just reviewed, the digital sexuality, if we get children from a young age, sexual, addicted to pornography, but also they think they're in the wrong body, so they remove their parts, none of these children are going to procreate. And what will happen to the population of the indigenous people? They won't procreate.
Nope.
They can't without parts. And if they're just sitting home watching porn on the video games or on the phones, like that document showed, they're not going to be meeting someone, falling in love, having marriage, having children. The nuclear family will be gone. If this generation gets destroyed, we know nuclear
family will be gone. Family will be gone because this is an assault on family. The other thing about those people, if I don't know if I'm unsure about whether I'm male or female, like my sense of self is so fragile and has been so assaulted, then I'm also easy to manipulate. Okay, so what can we do, Jana?
What can we do? So awareness is always a challenging thing because, I have a following on my Telegram channel, the Natural Women's Council, on my Twitter, and on my YouTube channel, Natural Women's Council. But we only can communicate with our echo chamber. So how do we get to the other 80-90% of society who may still think that rainbow flag blowing in the breeze at school is lovely and it's kind, it's preventing all the kids from getting bullied? They don't know really what's behind it. They don't know it's driven from the WHO. They don't know it's driven from the globalists. They don't know the dangers of this. So it's how do we get outside our echo chamber? We've hit the street with about 250,000 leaflets on the child sex education or sexuality education in school. It got information out to people who had no idea, but there's still people now who have no idea. There's still people now I speak to that have no idea. So it's how do we get it out to the general public?
We get it out by speaking up, by sharing this video, by sharing the links to the document, by spreading the word. And in a way, I suppose we have to be willing to deal with the hostility and opprobrium and the questions and the confusion that's going to come our way. But it's what's the alternative? What is the alternative, Jana? My children are grown up, right? But your children, somebody else's children being sexualized? No. So we have to speak up and spread the word. So share this video, and I'll have your links in the description below. And of course, you can legally not pay taxes, bit.ly/taxrevolt1 or taxrevolt2, depending on how long you've got. Anything else, Jana?
Yeah, I think the thing that people always, I've had people come up to me and say, wow, I don't have time. Like I've organized a lot of live events. I think about 6 or 7 events this year. I've done a lot of leafleting. I get on social media and on, also on the radio or wherever I can. And people say, gosh, I don't have the time to do that. Or maybe they don't have the courage to do that. Or maybe from their job, they're very fearful of going out and speaking because they'll be vilified. Like I've been vilified. I've been threatened and harassed and called every name under the sun. So what I'd like people to know is you don't have to do an event, or you don't have to be handing out leaflets at every school or car park or whatever. Sometimes the power of one conversation can make such a difference that if everybody just had that one conversation with someone about what's happening, and then that person had a few and that person had a few, it would all of a sudden just spread like wildfire. So for the people who think that maybe they can't make an impact and they cannot make a difference, they absolutely can. And that power of one conversation should never, ever be underestimated or taken for granted. So just have that casual chat. I was at a coffee morning with some mums from the school, and I just said, oh, what do you think about what's coming in school? And what do you mean? I said, oh, the sexuality education? No. And I said, well, they're going to be teaching children that they can be. And I carry this book around with me. I carry this Irish school book around with me here. And I bring out the page with the little, I'll find it here, the little genderbread person to say, they're going to be teaching your child that they can be a boy, girl, neither, or both. And they said, no, that's ridiculous. And I said, no, it's in the school book right here. And I carry this book around with me. I carry leaflets around with me because when you talk about it, people think, that's just crazy. You can't possibly be telling it the truth. But when you bring out the book and say, this is the book your child's getting, it's absolutely shocking. Try to find the genderbread man here in a minute, or genderbread person, I should say. Where is it? It's in there's a whole section dedicated to this here in the book. I have a whole press full of these books at home. Let's see where it is. And the poor person looks so confused. You can keep talking while I'm looking for it, and then I'll hold it up for you.
Yes. Well, I think not just one conversation, have many conversations, but do something. There's our
little genderbread person.
Okay. Yeah. But what we can do is do something. Do something. And then support those who are already doing something. Mm-hmm. You know, there may be people that are connected to you, Jana, or connected to me, and at least they can support us in what we're doing in being outspoken. And there are other organizations that I think the Heritage Party in the UK, the Family Party in Scotland, there are other organizations that are doing similar work to the Natural Women's Council. So supporting those organizations in some way or another.
Yeah, and we can always use funding. So I'll send you I have a Go Get funding, which I always, people donate. And, I think we did a Freedom of Information Act request, and the NCCA, the curriculum people, they denied us the request and said, oh, it takes too many hours. So we appealed it. But to appeal it costs money. So it might be €30, or if you do it again, it's €50. So when people say, what can I donate? I say, well, we have to actually submit Freedom of Information requests. If you just give us €30, that will drive that process through. So, or leaflets, we got 250,000 leaflets. So if someone said, well, I want to donate €20, I'm like, great, that will buy leaflets to educate 100 parents. So it's really throwing in a few euros wherever you can, because that money goes directly to the cause, because everyone that works, the 25 women that work in my organization, all do volunteer hours. We don't make any money for the time. It goes straight to the leaflets, the awareness events, the campaigning. So every little helps, so to say, or every penny helps.
Good for you, Jana. Thank you so much. Thank you. Really appreciate you coming on. For anyone who's watching, please share this video, check out the links, share those links, spread this conversation for the sake of our children. Do something, and please keep filling your pockets with freedom and with justice and empowerment. This is Crypto Rich and Crypto Jana signing out. All the best. Bye-bye. I really should have my tagline for videos like this.
Have a great night.
Thank you.